I'm Ryan O'Dowd of the Black Hand Communique, and I've got to talk to you about what's happening in my personal life right now. Right now, I'm living in a house in Rocky Mount, North Carolina that I've been calling Transpire House, because my hope was to be able to build an independent life for myself that's ecologically sustainable using my own tiny little piece of property. Actually, it belongs to a relative of mine, but the point was I thought that we would have control over it, and we'd have the access and possession over all the resources we need to survive. It's only a quarter of an acre. It's in an urban area, and it was very inexpensive to buy because it was a foreclosed home. The banks and the corporations demolished the economy of this town, and I figured going into a town like that I wouldn't have trouble executing a plan of personal salvation, to use a very loaded term. But my desire was that I would get here, fix up the house, put solar panels on the roof, put rain barrels to collect water, build my solar oven, build my root cellar, grow my own food, and with my own labor, earn my right to feed myself.
7 o'clock.
God damn it. I'm going to leave that there because it's funny. Earn my right to provide for myself. You see, we live in a system that does not allow you to provide for yourself, all the while blaming you for not providing for yourself. Okay? And I'm being very literal about this. You cannot find an unoccupied piece of land, settle down, grow your food and water, and eat. That's just not an option. That's illegal behavior. They call that squatting. They call it homelessness. You know, but it's really doesn't have to be. If it's an open piece of land, just let people feed themselves and drink water. But they can't, in their mind, allow that to happen. Who's they again? The lawless controllers, right? We're for land and freedom. They're for lawless control. They want to be hypocrites. They want to be able to control and dictate to our lives how to live. And the worst part is when people are desperate and poor and say they get on welfare or they get on food stamps, then the lawless controllers pipe people up to blame those poor people for not providing for themselves. They said, oh, these people are freeloaders. They're not freeloaders. You're not allowing them the opportunity to provide for themselves. You're only giving them a fucking devil's choice between government subsistence or with a gun at their head, or else trading their labor for less than it's worth to a corporation, a gun for its head, getting the money and then buying the food back from more corporations. The only option that people are given from the outset, from the bottom, is you either play the game that the lawless controllers make, or you will go to prison, or you are starving to death, or you get on food stamps and welfare and we blame you and we say you're a freeloader, when in fact it is the lawless controllers who are the freeloaders, because they do not put labor into the system. They escape income taxation, which shouldn't exist anyway because it's labor theft. So they steal the labor of the multitude and give it to themselves. They negotiate contracts in a system they set up so that people have to give them less wages than they're actually worth, because there is no opt-out. There is no actual way to provide for yourself in this system. And then if you don't do that, they blame you. They blame you and they say you're lazy and you need to get a job. That's the ultimate thing, getting a job. Getting a job is not providing for yourself. Getting a job is providing for someone else. And know who it's providing for? The people at the very tippity top of whoever that ladder is. And that is the lawless controllers. And there are people on the top who don't even realize that this is happening because they're on like a little tiny smaller echelon at the top. But at the highest level, they know. These people know they have no laws that they're subject to, and that they are making the laws for everyone to live by, and they're blaming those who fail at the game without ever looking at the game itself. If you're fucking born on a Monopoly board, then what's going to happen? Everyone's going to be bankrupt except the winner. If you're born on a Monopoly board, everyone's going to be bankrupt except the one who wins the game. Because the game itself is set up that that's the way it works. If you're born on a game of Risk, you're either going to conquer the world or you're going to get conquered. Because it's the game of Risk. And that's how the fucking game is set up. And if you're born in the world run by the lawless autocrats the lawless controllers, the elite, the fucking anarchy for the rich, tyranny for the poor. If you're born in a game where you have no option to provide for yourself in the first place because you have to either pay rent, interest, or taxes on every piece of property you own, they don't have to because they fucking make it. And you have to trade your labor for more than it's worth. You have to provide more for them than they provide for them fucking selves because they made the game and you just are playing it. You're born in their world. And then if you are destitute and you get on disability or food stamps or welfare, they'll blame you and they'll say you're a freeloader because you're not providing for me. You're not providing for me at the top. The game runners are the ones your labor belongs to. You only get as much freedom as we allow you to think you actually are free when you're not. And that's the fucking way that the system works. And right now, the city's taking my house. They're going to destroy my house. They're fining me until I move out of my house to fix my house because ultimately any system built like this at the top is generalissimo whoever the fuck or Mr. Man on Wall Street or, you know, whoever at the fucking bank. You know, there's many different ways to control people. They do, and they use all of them. That's why I do this at the beginning of every episode and I turn it upside down because that fucking shit needs to come down. We need to have a system put into place where the game is not rigged, where the game can actually provide people a way to provide for themselves. You can't blame people for being poor when there's no way to choose not to play the game. You can't. It's not logical, rational, and it's certainly not moral. Not that I give a shit about morality, but it ain't. All right? It should at least be consistent and make sense. And it doesn't. That is why I am fighting the lawless controllers. And that's why I am running. That's right, I'm a fucking politician. Look at me. That's why I'm running for USA Parliament under the Land and Freedom Party. Because I want to create a systematic alternative to the fucked up game that exists right now. And there's no way to do it inside the game. You can't play Monopoly. You can't be the race car, go around the tracks, hit Broadway, and then say, hey, Mr. Banker, I think that you should just, you know, you should give me Shay Charles' place. And he's like, no, that's not the way the fucking game works. You gotta quit the game and turn over the table. That's the way you play a different fucking game that you make. Because it's not fair, it's not free, and we are being blamed for losing in a system we didn't make. I'm Ryan O'Dowd of the Black Hand Communique, and fuck the mother goddamn machine.